I spent nearly 10 years of my life working hard to get into the NFL. It became a dream, my life goal, my life worth to go into the NFL. I finished 4 years of high school football, then 4 years of college football, and ready to fulfill my life passion of going to the NFL and making over $736,000 a year. I walked away from it all. I'm going to explain to you why I turned down the NFL and the huge amount of money that comes along with it. And I'm also going to explain to you a huge secret about the NFL that nobody, except for the people that are actually in the business of the NFL, know about. The NFL is a fantastic business to want to be a part of. You see it all the time. Player signs huge $120 million contract. If you're one of the lucky few that's able to go into the NFL and you play your cards right and don't waste your money, you're going to be able to live off the money that the NFL gives you for the rest of your life. Austin Eckler, a football player in the NFL, is a perfect example of this. He did not come from a prestigious football university. He knew that at any point in time, he could stop getting paid from the NFL, whether it was getting hurt and he couldn't play anymore, or not playing good enough because your body just naturally gets older, and was paid a good lump sum of money. So Austin got a pretty good amount of money from the NFL, and rather than spending it on luxury cars, invested into real estate, and he's never going to have to worry about money for the rest of his life. In addition to money, fame also comes from being in the NFL. With social media growing more and more, football players as early as high school are growing large social media audiences where people follow them and learn about everything that they're posting and gaining brand deals. And when this goes into the NFL, this just grows tenfold. From college to the NFL, it's almost overnight, where you go from being another college student that happens to be a part of the school's football team to being in the NFL.
With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama.
Suddenly, everybody wants your attention. You're getting invited to hang out with celebrities. Music artists begin to mention your name in their songs. Never before has society put more focus and attention into you. When you're eligible to join the NFL, there's 32 teams that can pick you, and you have no option to choose from. All the way from Washington, D.C. to Seattle, Washington to New York, all over the country. Joining the NFL allows for growth into new areas that may have never been previously possible. For example, you could be from a small town in, say, Iowa, and never leave that small town, generate NFL interest, and suddenly the New York Giants are calling you, or the Miami Dolphins are calling you. Of those teams, all of them could be interested, but only one at a time can be the one to pick you. When entering the NFL, there is no choice for the player to actually pick and choose what team he gets picked up with. Those are only 3 of the many fantastic benefits that the NFL provides. When I was reaching towards the end of my college football career in preparation for the NFL, I began to have mixed emotions. There were so many positive factors that came with being a part of the NFL, but when I would visualize myself being in the NFL and close my eyes and see what the future of being in the NFL would look like, what I saw wasn't what I wanted. Similar to the $1 million contracts that you see all the time on TV about, $80 million, $100 million, what's even more prevalent is injuries. Injuries in the NFL are all over the place. Throughout my 8 years of playing football, I'm blessed to say that I never had any permanent, lifelong sustaining injuries. My history of injuries includes 3 ankle sprains, 1 sprained wrist, and countless concussions. I say countless concussions because officially, I've never had a concussion before. Whenever I was concerned that I was concussed, I would go speak to my team doctors, and they would do a brief series of tests to determine whether or not I had a concussion. This occurred at least 5 times that I can remember, and not once ever was I ever diagnosed for having a concussion. Reflecting back to high school, my girlfriend at the time, who's not my wife, would constantly get upset with me because my memory was so horrible. We would be conversating, and in the middle of a conversation, in the middle of a sentence, I'd be talking, and just like that, like somebody flicked a switch, I would have no idea what we were talking about. I'd say, sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought. we're just gonna have to talk about something new. I always had a hard time focusing on one singular thing at a time because I was constantly losing focus on what it was I was doing or what it was I was saying, and I had no idea why. I'm not claiming to know more information about medicine than my football doctors did, but I do have to wonder, in 8 years of playing football, and when it was most important to be out there on the football field rather than out for an injury, I just have to wonder if the team's success and the team's interest was placed more important than my own. All this talk about concussions ties back into chronic traumatic encephalopathy, better known as CTE. In case you didn't know, CTE is the constant beating of your brain against the walls of your skull. So every single time in football, when you would tackle somebody and you would dive with, using your shoulder, but consequently also using your head, when you go from running a full dead sprint to being at a complete standstill, your brain still bounces around back and forth because it's not perfectly lodged inside of your head. Some effects of CTE are early onset Alzheimer's, depression, mood swings, not remembering where you are, and suicidal tendencies, just to name a few. CTE is common in contact sports such as football, boxing, mixed martial arts. However, football takes the cake because of the frequency of head blows. So say for instance, boxing. With boxing, you can go an entire practice without making any sort of major blow to your head. Whereas with football, it doesn't matter if it's the game or if it's practice, you constantly have to take damage to your head. You have to practice tackling. You have to practice blocking somebody. You have to practice catching a football while somebody is trying to tackle you. All that leads to damage and blows to your head on a daily basis. And with football, you are still wearing a helmet. When you go to tackle somebody and you're running at a dead sprint and then you come to a complete standstill because of the fact that you just hit somebody, that sudden stop causes your body to stop moving, but your brain will still hit the walls of your head and cause that CTE over time. So on top of the health concerns, there was one more huge secret that I've come to really discover that it seems as though nobody ever talks about. That secret is schedule. And I'm not talking about, okay, next week we're playing the New York Giants, and the week after that we're playing the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm talking about the day-to-day schedule. More so time away from your family. Think about it for a second that it's Monday and you're preparing for a game on Sunday. Well, you just got finished playing a game on Sunday the day before, and it's your day off, but you're absolutely destroyed from the game yesterday. So you have one of two options. You either stay at home and recover on your own time. You don't go to see your team doctors to get treatment to recover faster, or you do go to the team facilities and you do see your doctor, and he does put you through a light workout to help you recover faster for the game that's coming up. What I've come to learn is I value family and family time above everything. What I realize is that being a part of the NFL would put so much of a time constraint on me. Your schedule consists of 7 days a week, almost year round. And it gets to the point where you're there at the team's facilities more than you are being home. You just have to ask yourself, is this really what I want to do? But in addition to that, my purpose being in the NFL. I began to question myself, why do I want to be in the NFL? And to the average person, that sounds like a dumb question. You're going to be making a lot of money. You're going to be famous. You're going to be able to explore new frontiers, like I said. But it really came down to why. Why is the big question. And I had to ask myself, why was I even playing football as a whole? For years and years and years of playing football, I was always envisioning myself walking into that NFL team's office, shaking hands with the head coach of the team, signing that sheet of paper that says, okay, Julian, you're a part of the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to give you this amount of money, and now you play for us. And always I think to myself, man, once I get to that point, that's when I'm going to be financially free, and that's just when I'm going to be happy. The closer and closer I got to finishing college and finishing college football, the more and more I realized that's not what I want. I would ask myself, like, man, what is my reasoning for going to the NFL? And it was So that way I can afford a house, afford, a car for my wife and I, and afford clothes, as well as food and everything else. But then I realized I could already afford a house right now. My wife and I, we already have cars. We already have nice clothes, and we're doing just fine. Except I'm not going to have the CTE and all the permanent bodily damage from playing the NFL. So then, similar to earlier, I would begin to ask myself, okay, why? I'm not making this video as an attempt to dissuade anybody from becoming an NFL football player. Over these past few years, I've been learning a lot about myself, and I've really come to the conclusion that football is not for me. Sure, there are huge financial benefits that come with being a football player. But if you set money aside for a second and look at what it is that you're doing, you might not like what you see. And for me, that's the reason why I turned down $736,000 from the NFL. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time.